Okay, so we're starting book 5.6. We're doing the rules of exponents and scientific notation. So we talked about these rules about a month ago. So when we have 4 squared, it means 4 times 4. 2 to the 7, to the power of 7 is 7 2s. Okay, we have to be careful with these ones here. So this 4 is only on the bracket, so it's on everything inside the bracket. So it says please write this bracket 4 times. Okay, now this 4 is only on the 2, it's not on the negative, so you cover up the negative and you write the 2 4 times, and then you put that negative back in the front. Okay, so be careful when you have an exponent that's just on a number versus on brackets. They're different. Okay, so let's look at the rules. So these rules you don't really have to use. They just make things faster if you choose to use them. But if you want to go up to a higher math level, you should probably know them. So the first one's called a product rule. And product is just another way to say multiply. So let's look at the example first. So here this says I have 3 x's and I have 5 x's. So in total, how many x's do I have? Well, I have 8 in total. Well, the rule just says 3 plus 5 is 8. That's it. So instead of writing these out and saying how many do I have in total, you can just go 3 plus 5 is 8. Let's look at this. This says I have 2 y's and 4 y's. So in total I have 6 y's. So the rule is I can just add them. I can just go y2. I can just go 2 plus 4 is 6, so that's y to the 6. I can go directly here. So that's the rule. The rule says when we have the bottom number, the base the same, I can just add the exponents. Now what about, so this is when it's multiply, but what about when it's divide? Okay, so now this is called the quotient rule. And remember this T? We talked about it before. The T is pronounced an SH, quotient. So quotient just means divide. Okay. So when it looks like this, it's divide, same as a fraction. So up here I have 7 3's and I have 5 3's. But remember that when I have 3 over 3, it's equal to 1. So anytime I have the same over same, it's equal to 1. So that's 1, that's 1, that's 1, 1, 1. And anything times 1 is the same thing. So these sort of disappear when I have multiply. So now I just have 2 3's left. Okay, 3 squared. What's the rule? What's 7 subtract 5? 2. So I can just take the exponent, 7 subtract 5, and go directly here to 2. So this says I have 5 9's. I have 9 5's and I have 3 5's. What's 5 over 5? 1. 5 over 5 is 1, 1. And then how many 5's do I have left? I have 6. Well, what's the rule? 9 subtract 3 is 6. So I can go directly here and go, oh, that's really 5 to the power of 6. Okay. So the rule says if the base is the same, like the 5's, then I can just subtract the exponents. But the problem with divide is when I have more on the bottom, sometimes people can get confused. So here I have 4 2's on the top and 7 2's on the bottom. So that's 1, 1, 1. And I'm left with 3 2's on the bottom. Okay. But if I do subtract, if I go 4 subtract 7, I get a negative 3. And we'll talk in a minute, but when we have a negative exponent, it says we have to move it to the bottom. So what I do when I'm using this rule, I just go 7 subtract 4 is 3. And then I ask myself, I say, are there more 2's on the bottom or the top? There's more on the bottom, so I just keep everything on the bottom. Okay? So say it was 10 to the 3 and 10 to the 8. I would just go, okay, is there more on the top or more on the bottom? There's more on the bottom. And then I just go 8 subtract 3 is 5. And I say, okay, it's on the bottom, because there's more on the bottom. Because when I cancel these out, there's going to be more on the bottom left. Okay, because then I don't have to deal with the negatives. So we talked about the zero exponent rule before. Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So 2 to the power of 0 is 1. This whole bracket is to the power of 0, so it's equal to 1. But be careful with this. This 0 is only on the 2. So really, only 2 to the power of 0 is 1, and then we have this little negative hanging out in front saying, hey, I'm still here. And so this is equal to -1. Okay? Is this focus? I'm going to focus it a little bit more. Just a little bit. Oops. Oh, it's going crazy. Okay, it's a little better. So this 0 is on everything. It's on the bracket. So this whole thing becomes 0. Becomes 1. Because this 0 is on everything. But this 0 here is only on the x. So this becomes 1. But there's a 5 in front that says, hey, I'm still here. And remember when you have a number and a letter and they're close together, really there's a multiply hiding in there. So really it's 5 times 1, which is 5. Okay, so be careful if the exponent 0 is only on one thing rather than a whole thing, because there's brackets. Okay. Now the one rule that you really need to know and you need to use is the negative exponent rule. And that's when we have negative exponents. So let's look at this fraction. Okay. This says 7 to the -3. All right. So this -3, this negative just means please move them to the other side. And the negative is just like an instruction that says move it to the other side. Once you move it to the other side, then you don't write the negative because you've already used up the instruction. Okay, so if I look at this, it's not a fraction, but it has a -3, so it says move it to the other side. So first I make it a fraction, and then I take it and I move it to the other side. And when I move it, I don't write the negative because I've just moved it. If I look at this one, this 3 to the power of -5 needs to be moved down to the other side. This one's a positive exponent, so it stays. This is a positive exponent, so it stays. But this one has a negative exponent, so I have to move it to the other side. So anything with a negative exponent gets moved to the other side. Okay? Power rule. So this 5 is on this bracket, set of brackets. So it says write this bracket 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now inside this bracket there, it's 2 to the power of 3. Well, how many 2's are there? In each bracket, there's 3 2's. How many 2's in total do I have? 3, 3, 3, 3. 3 times 5 is 15. I have 15 2's. So the rule is, when I have an exponent on the inside and brackets with an exponent on the outside, I have a power out here, I just multiply 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. I can go directly here. So this 2 says, please write this bracket twice. And inside each bracket, how many 3's do I have? I have 4. So how many 3's in total do I have? I have 4 and 4, which is 8. So what's the rule? 4 times 2 is 8. So I can just go directly here. Okay. So let's look at some examples. We're going to just do all the even numbers as examples. Let me sharpen my pencil. Okay. So, on the top, how many A's do I have? 8. And on the bottom, I have 3. How much is A over A equal to? 1. Same over same is equal to 1. So that's 1, 1, 1. And I'm left with 5 A's. What's the rule? 8 subtract 3 equals 5. You see? I don't need to use the rule, but I can if I want. The next one. I see a negative exponent. So what I have to do is make that a fraction, and I have to think of I have to move it to the other side. And I think of the song, I like to move it, move it. So I'm going to move it down to the other side. So it becomes x to the 11. I don't write the negative because the negative just says move it. And once I've moved it, I don't write the negative. There's nothing up here. And when there's nothing up there, you can just put a 1. Okay. So question 6. How many x's do I have here? 4. How many here? 2. How many x's in total do I have? 6. So the rule is you can add them. When it's multiply, you can add them. Okay. This says, please write this set of brackets 5 times. Okay. What's inside the brackets? B to the 3, B to the 3, B to the 3, B to the 3. And how many B's are on each bracket? 3 B's. This is what my brain does. This is what I'm thinking. Okay, well, how many B's do I have in total? 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. 3 times 5 is 15. What's the rule? Multiply. So when I have powers here with brackets, I can go 3 times 5 is 15. I can do it this way. I don't need the rule. But it's faster if you use the rule. And some people say, oh no, there's numbers here. It's okay, just pretend they're happy faces. I have 4 circles. I have 4 circles and 5 circles. How many circles do I have in total? I have 9 circles. But it's not circles. What is it again? They're 3's. I have 9. Now, in your calculator, you can do 3 to the power 9 and find the answer. But right now, I don't care about the answer because we're just practicing the rules. Okay? So if it has a number here, don't worry about it. Just see it as something that's the same multiplied. And I say, oh, I have 4 of these. I have 5 of these. So in total, I have 9 of these. Ah, they're 3's. Sort of like this question. I have 5 happy faces and 10 happy faces. And because it's multiply, I can just say, oh, what's 5 plus 10? I have 15 happy faces. Okay. And same here with divide. Just ignore the fact that it's a 2 and just think of it as something. I have 8 of these. I'm going to put multiply in between each one. And then on the bottom I have 3 of these. So what is 2 over 2 equal to? 1. So that's 1, 1, 1. And so how many do I have remaining on the top? I have 5. So it's 2 to the 5. And what's the rule? 8 subtract 3 equals 5. See? Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Now when it's brackets, it's okay. Just they're the same and it's multiplied. So just pretend, don't look at what's inside the brackets. You just say I have 4 brackets here and I have 3 brackets here and they're multiply. So how many brackets do I have in total? I have 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. What's on the inside? Minus 2. Okay, so don't worry that it's numbers inside the brackets as long as they're the same. So here they're the same and it's divide. So I have 6 brackets up here. And I have 2 brackets down. So same over same. They're gone. So now I am left with 4 brackets. And what's in the brackets? Oh, minus 7. So I don't worry about what's inside as long as they're the same thing. Okay. Let's go to the next side. We're going to do just the even numbers as examples. Okay. Anything to the power of 0? It's 1. So this 0's on whole thing because it's on the outside of the brackets. Negative exponent. When you see negative exponents, you have to think of the song. I like to move it, move it. Okay? So you have to move it to the other side. Well, there is no other side, so make it a fraction. So now we have another side. Move it to the other side. And once you move it, don't put the negative, because the negative just says move it to the other side. And there's nothing up there. That looks weird. But when there's nothing, just put a 1. It's okay. And if you wanted, you can put 2 to the 5 in your calculator and find the answer. But we're not doing that right now. We're just doing, we're just practicing the rules. Here, this one, you have to be careful because this 0, if I had -8 to the 0, that means everything here to the power of 0, so that would be 1. But here, the 0 is only on the 8, so this becomes 1, and this negative says, hey, I'm still here, I'm hanging out at the front. And so this is equal to -1. This would be equal to +1, because this whole thing is equal to 0. Okay? So same like this. This 0, if this was 9a, if this was everything to the power of 0, then it would just be 1. But the 0 is only on the a, so this is equal to 1. And then this 9 says, hey, I'm still here. And remember, when you have a number and a letter stuck close together, there's really a multiply hiding in between there. So it's really 9 times 1, which is 9. Okay? So be careful. This 0 is only on the A. This would be on everything. So I see a negative, so I'm thinking of the song, I like to move it, move it. Move it where? There is no other side. Okay, so make another side, make it a fraction. Move it to the other side. And then when there's nothing up there, it's okay, just put a 1. Look at this, 32 and 34. This -2 is on the whole bracket. So it's saying move the whole bracket. So let's make it a fraction. Let's move the whole bracket down, because it's this -2 is on the whole thing. And there's nothing up there. It's okay, put a 1. Now this -2 is only on the 9. So let's make it a fraction. Let's move it to the other side. Let's make it a little nicer. And who's left? This negative sign says, hey, I'm still up here. Look, the negative sign is still up there. Because this -2 is not on the negative, it's only on the 9. So because this negative is still there, we have to write it. And well, there's no number there. The only number that can hide is a 1. Okay. If this was, there's different ways to do this. If this was 2 to the power of 3 and 2 to the power of 5, I can just say I have 3 2's and I have 5 2's. How many 2's do I have in total? I have 8 2's. I would just add them. Okay? But I can do that here. These are integers. I can go 3 plus -5. What is 3 plus -5? Oh, my calculator's in scientific notation. Just wait, let me change it. Put it into normal. Okay, so 3 plus -5 is -2. So that's -2. So then I can say this is equal to 2 to the -2. And because this is a negative exponent, I have to make it a fraction and move it to the other side. So 2 to the 2. And there's nothing up there, so I just put a 1. That's one way to do it. Okay, there's another way to do it. I'll write it down here. Is you say, oh, he's a negative. He should be moved down. So let's make it a fraction. And then this one moves down. So I keep this one up. This one moves down. And then I can say, Okay, there's 3 2's up here and 5 2's down here. Which one has more? There's more down here. So what's 5 subtract 3? 2. So really, 5 subtract 3 is 2, so I'll have 2 to the 2 down here. Okay, so you can do it this way with the rule, or you can move it and then use the rule. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. And that's, what's 2 times 2? I mean 2 to the power of 2, that's 4. And they're both equal to the same thing. If I say go to Villaggio, there's different ways to get to Villaggio. It doesn't matter which way you do it. Okay. So now the next one. This 4 says write the brackets 4 times. What's inside the brackets? 2 to the 3, 2 to the 3, 2 to the 3, 2 to the 3. How many 2's are in each one? 3. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. How many 2's do I have in total? Well, there's 4 groups of 3. So 3 times 4 is 12. So really 2 to the 12. What's the rule? 3 times 4 is 12. So I could go directly here if I wanted, if I used the rule. So here, this says please write the brackets 3 times. And what's inside? So I have 4 5's. And they're all multiply. I should put multiplies in between. Doot, doot, doot. Lots of multiplies. Look at all those multiplies. How many 5's do I have in total? 4, 4, 4. So I have 12. What's 4 times 3? 4 times 3 is 12. So I can go directly here. Okay. Ooh, lots of negative exponents. For me, I don't like negatives. So the first thing I do is I make it a fraction and I move them to the other side. Okay, it's just easier for me. 2 to the 3 and move him down. 2 to the 5. There's nothing up there now, so I just put 1. So if I cover that up and I just look at that, I have 3 2's and I have 5 2's. How many 2's do I have in total? All multiplied together is 8. So I have 2 to the 8. That's it. Okay. Let's look at the next page. So how many b's do I have? 7 b's. And I have 2 b's. B over b is 1. B over b is 1. So I'm left with 5 b's. What's the rule? 7 minus 2 equals 5. So I have 5 b's. This says, please write this 3 times. And I have A2, A2, A2. And how many a's do I have in here? A times A times A times A times A times A. So how many a's do I have in total? 6 a's. So what's the rule? 2 times 3 is 6. Bracket, it's multiply, and we have exponents. Okay, so don't get confused that it's a number in here. Pretend it's, I don't know, x to the 3 times x to the 5. I just add the exponents. Okay, so this says I have 3 of them here, I have 5 of them here, so I have in total 8 of them. I'm going to add them. And what's inside? Negative 4. Okay, so don't get confused that there's numbers inside. Same like this. If you get confused, just go, that's the same as x to the 5 over x to the 3. Okay, a bracket, that's the same with divide. And if I have 5 brackets up here, and I have 3 brackets down here, same over same, same over same, I'm left with 2 brackets. And what's inside the brackets? And what's the rule? Subtract. 5 subtract 3 is 2. Subtract the exponents. 5 subtract 3 equals 2. And that's my exponent. Now be careful with this. This 0 is only on the 9. If it looked like this, the whole thing would be equal to 1, but it's not. This 0 is on the 9, so this is equal to 1. And this negative says, hey, I'm still here. Don't forget about me. So this is equal to negative 1. So this 0 is only on the A. If it looked like this, then the 0 would be on both of them. It's on everything, and this would be equal to 1. But this A to the 0 is equal to 1. And this 3 says, don't forget about me, I'm still here. And remember, when you have a number and a letter close to each other like this, really there's a multiply in between. So 3 times 1 is 3. Negative. What song do you think of? I like to move it, move it. But if you want to move it, there's no other side. So let's make it a fraction. Now we can move it to the other side. When you move it, don't write the negative again. Now there's nothing up there. It's okay, just put a 1. Okay. Oh, this is almost the same, but it says move this bracket to the other side. So let's make it as a fraction. Move it, the bracket, to the other side. What's in the bracket? Negative 3. And there's nothing up top, so just put a 1. So you're moving the whole bracket to the other side. Okay. This says write the brackets twice. What's in the bracket? 4 to the 5. How many 4s are here? 5 of them. And they're all multiply. Let's multiply them. And this, there's 4 multiplies together. How many 4s do I have? So here it's 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. That's what 4 to the power of 5 is. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. 4 to the 5. How many is there? It's 5 and 5. That's 10. And the rule is 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, this last one. Because they're negatives, I will move them to the other side. I like to move it, move it. So let's make a fraction. I'm going to move this one to the other side. 5 to the 2, and it's times in between them. I'm going to move this one to the other side. There's nothing up top, but that's okay. I'll just put a 1. And I cover it up, and I go, what's the rule? I have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Well, how many 5s is there? 4. And I can go, what's 2 plus 2? 4. Okay, so you can do it with thinking, or you can do it with the rule. It doesn't matter. Okay, so for homework, you do all the odd questions, all the ones we didn't do.